Hey, it's Jaden. Today, or this evening, I think it's like 7 or 6 or something, I wanted to talk about this book I'm reading. I don't know if you can see it, but it's called This Present Darkness. And let me just say, I started reading this book about a month ago, and I'm almost finished. More than halfway. And it is an adult book, and I'm not an adult, but it's really good. I mean, it's not an adult book in the sense like it's inappropriate, but I'm gonna read the back. Ashton is just a typical small town, but when reporter Marshall Hogan and Pastor Hank begin to compare notes, they suddenly find themselves fighting a hideous plot to subjugate. Okay, I am terrible with words, like you saw in my last video. The townspeople, and eventually the entire human race. A fast-moving, riveting thriller, This Present Darkness offers a fascinating glimpse into the unseen world of spiritual warfare and the power of prayer. It is a Christian book, and it is by far, it's probably my favorite book I read so far. My cousin Christy, whenever I was in the hospital, for a weird reason, she came by and she gave me 2 books. She gave me 3 books. 2 of them were Sarah Campbell by Nancy Dane, and the other one was, I think, it was a sequel to that one. It was also by Nancy Dane. But those ones are really good. They're kind of like children books, but they're really good. And then she gave me this one. I've read the other 2 before, but I've never read this one. And I was kind of skeptical to read it because, it looks kind of old. And I was like, thank you. And I didn't know if I was going to, so I started it. And to be honest, the first few chapters, I thought I was not going to get into it, but it gets way better as you read on. It really does. So to sum it up, it kind of goes back and forth between like spirits. It's hard to explain. Spirits not in like demons, or demons like monsters from down there. I don't really want to say it because I don't want to get in trouble. And like angels and warriors. They call them warriors, but they give them names. And this reporter named Marshall, as you heard in the back of it, Marshall Hogan, he writes for a newspaper in the town of Ashton, and he used to work at New York Times, but he decided that he wanted to calm down for his family, and he works with this girl named Bernice, and together they just make sure that everybody's caught up with everything that's happening in the town. Well, there's this weird college that has this professor. She's a girl. I cannot pronounce her last name, so it's an L. And she does these weird mind readings. And at first people were like, oh, that's weird, but okay. And she just thinks about like meditation and out of this world stuff. And later, I don't want to spoil it too much, but later on you find out that it's bigger than that, and she's part of this big group that's trying to take over the town and eventually the whole entire world. And this group is involved with demons, like real live demons, and they do terrible stuff. They've caused like hundreds of people to leave the town of Ashton, and because of financial reasons and personal reasons and things like that. But no one can prove these people that are driven out of Ashton. The things that happened to them didn't like happen. It's hard to explain because like the demons, they did it, but no one can explain it, so they just leave Ashton and no one questions it. And Marshall, he finds out about all of this, and he's starting to question everything. And once he starts questioning everything, he starts to lose contact with his family, and things start going bad for him. And then this pastor named Hank, he's like super good. He's like one of the best Christians I've ever seen. He can sense whenever there's a demon inside of a person. And throughout the story, all the guardians and warriors, they call them, are protecting him and gathering. And they have this huge gathering in the Church of Ashton. Just like a lot of people come to it. And they're all praying for the town of Ashton. And the warriors are worried that it won't be enough. I don't want to spoil it too much. But it is just a really, really, really good book. Like, it is really good. And I've heard, I think his name is Frank E. Peretti? But I know he writes more books, and I'm going to have to get them. They are super good. But that's what I wanted to talk about today, is this book, because it's been on my mind for forever. I balance my time with reading this book and watching YouTube. Shout out to you guys if you watch Mark and Jack. Actually, I watch Mark more than Jack, but don't tell anybody. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm thinking about doing more of these because I love classics. Like, I'm also reading The Secret Garden, and I finished Alice in Wonderland. I know it's such a classic, but I love reading that over and over again. I could just read that for ages. But yeah, that's all I want to talk about. Bye.